We are live.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Scuffcast.
Yay.
Here we are. We are joined today by, let's go from left to right. We have the cow in the corner, which is Mers. Say hello, Mers.
Hello.
I love that.
Hello.
Mez, where are you?
I am off to the side.
And then we've got the
Speaking
Giga
through,
Chat
speaking
Knob
through.
himself. Say hello, Knob. Say g'day.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Scuffcast.
We have Choco, our Chapter 5 head admin, ready to roll.
Oh
Say hello.
I am not ready for that kind of an intro. Rush, so much responsibility. Why?
Everything is riding on the shoulders of the founder himself, Rizza, in the center. Say g'day, mate. And we have the caster of casters, Breezy, coming off a 1 hour banger of a cast.
Yeah, great fun. Love you. Riz muted. I will give Rosh our newest addition to the casting team, experienced streamer, Big Roshter. How you doing?
He shouldn't be muted. You're not muted, bro. You're quiet, actually. I can hear you, but
I can hear you.
hang on. What's going on?
Can they hear you?
What's going on with your microphone on the yeah. Oh yeah, your mic's not coming through the thing. It's not coming through the thing.
There it is. Maybe there. Hello. That should be better. Is that better? That's gotta be better.
Yeah,
See what
that's it.
Grimsy
That's
says.
it.
Hello.
Well, Grimsy,
Hello.
welcome.
I'm also trying to write an announcement for this.
Good now. There you go. Yep, sweet.
I think we are good. So today, we've got a few things to talk about. Our agenda, this Giga agenda that I've lumped together, and then I dragged everyone into this call at very last notice. Late notice. So we have the Crew Battles Chapter 5. So there's actually a YouTube channel, which all the VODs are being compiled. In which case, you guys can, if you want to review the VODs or have a look at what's going on that front, it's youtube.com/@Scuffcord. So that's all set up and ready to rumble. I also made all the headers and stuff nice, although the thumbnails need some work. I apologize in advance. That being said, we should move on to the next point, which is I'm going to handball this to Choco. What are the differences between previous chapters and this one that you have noticed? We'll get everyone involved for this.
Oh, did we get these questions sent out to us or something? I didn't get that.
Yeah, there's a post in the admin chat about what we're going to talk about, like a long list of things.
Just a massive list.
Okay, I'll have to go back through that.
I'll take
just cancel it. Just blind Riz for a second.
Actually, Choco made a good point in the chat there. Shout out to Riz for making all of this. All of the assets that you see on screen, all static assets, excluding Knob and Mers cow. That's all me.
Beautiful work.
I can't stop laughing. That is actually so funny.
It's real life proportions.
Yeah.
Oh dear. A cow. Oh my gosh.
People come to a cow for advice on LP Rock League.
Oh my
Production,
God.
honestly, Spotto. Setting new standards around here, eh?
Yeah. All right, cool. So getting, I guess, onto the topic of crew battles, which we're here to talk about a whole, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour of just talking crew battles. Far out. That's crazy. But, it's been an interesting season so far. I think the largest chapter we've had prior to this only had 24 teams. Reese, was it 24-20 that we did a few chapters ago?
We did 24, then 20. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, so jumping up to 32, it's a decent jump. You go from 72 players to what do we have now? Like
We've got
almost
100. We've got
100.
roughly 100. We pretty much do with the dual position players have 100 players on our hands now. Yeah,
Yeah,
not including
yes.
subs.
Yeah, so that's a huge increase in just how many people that we're interacting with. Quite significantly. Also, just the amount of matches that are being scheduled. So everything's just increased a lot. As you guys can imagine, there's a lot more work that has to go in for graphics as well. Every time we have player changes, overlays that need to get changed as normal. So there's just a lot of background work that gets done, and everything's amplified.
Rush wants unrealistic bench setups and stuff for a studio cast.
Right? Like, what are these standards?
A message Riz at 1 a.m. Hey man, help.
just an idea, yeah. Just 1 a.m.
Yeah, so I think it's been good. I think it's been good for the competition that we've been able to have so much more inclusivity. I think that's what I've enjoyed about the bigger numbers. We've been able to have more people on board. But I think the negative has been that we do see a little bit of dip in, I guess, the quality of how we do it. Things sometimes take a bit longer to get around to and schedule. Scheduling matches from a streamer perspective too has been a bit more difficult to manage, but Rosh, has been carrying that boat a lot since his inclusion. And same with Breezy, and Rizza having some time off work at a really handy period of time came in really clutch. So it was nice that we were able to sort of really build up that camaraderie and get that admin and stream team organized to make up for the increased load that we had to deal with. But I think from the player side, it's been all right as well. So I think that's been my overall takeaways. I don't know about Riz, Breezy. I know from the admin side, streaming side, Rush as well. Like, what have you guys noticed from your perspectives, if I can throw it to you guys?
For me personally, I think it's been obviously great having Rush on board. Like you said, we are milking that cow for all it's worth.
Not
At the moment. Yeah, that's right. Rush is doing the heavy lifting and doing a really good job as well. Same as Breezy. Breezy's doing a lot of the lifting with the streaming as well. I think that side of it's been going really well. I think we've got a pretty good quality ensemble of casters these days, especially for just the small operation that we are. Froggo and Choco doing a lot of the heavy lifting behind the scenes with teams and stuff. I do think it's probably been a little bit less personal this time, as you'd expect, growing to a 100-player tournament. I've definitely had a bit of feedback about that. People saying that it feels a little bit less community-based than what it used to, I guess. And I feel that for sure. And it's always going to be the case with the growth that we have. But there's got to be a balance as well. Like we've got with so many people in the server, we want to try and accommodate as many as we can. Even with 100 players in the tournament, we've still had to leave some behind, which has been uncomfortable for everyone involved as well. Obviously, everyone wants to play. These tournaments don't come around that often, as they can't with our availabilities and whatever. So that I feel like we've lost a little bit of connection with the community in that sense. But that's maybe not all on us as well. Like if people hang out in the VCs and get to know each other, and we'll meet you there as well. So it's a bit of back and forth on that as well. But yeah, I do feel that feedback and understand as well. But that's we're doing everything we can to try and keep it personal and trying to keep it community based. But it's a difficult ask given the commitment that we have during crew battles already.
Yeah, I found it though, like in terms of like interacting with the community, like VCs have been pretty active. People have been active with the teams and stuff like that. In the more teams are scrimming than ever. And like it's good that if you've been put on a team that wasn't requested, you get to meet some new people from the community and vibe with them and play some competitive matches against other people in the community. And Twitch chat in general, I think Twitch chat on a whole over this tournament has been pretty good. There's been a few quiet times here and there, but generally the support and like Twitch chat, like boosting that community element in other areas has been really, really good. With all the support for the games, the players. Some people have their own little fan bases that come in for their games, which is always good to get some new people around. So in terms of what I've seen, like there's been a bit of a trade-off, I guess.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, that's what I was saying as well. Like as much as we are disconnected a little bit from the community from what we used to be, given the size of the tournament now, there is there is definitely a community element on offer that exists, like you say, in Twitch chat, in those VCs, and with your own teams and that sort of stuff. If you want to reach out to those areas, especially while we're running crew battles, like you probably, a lot of people do understand the scale of it and of what we're trying to do here and what we have to do behind the scenes, but a lot of people probably don't as well. Like it's massive. Choco carries a lot of that these days now. Just constant DMs, constant drama. Like this, whatever's going on your team in crew battles, you can imagine it's at least as bad, or if not worse, on other teams. So there's a lot to do, especially with 32 teams and a whole array of subs that we're also trying our best to get involved in the tournament as well.
So I'd love to hear from Mers as well as a competitor. You competed in did you compete in Chapter 3 as well as Chapter 4?
Yes, I did. I was with Wok and Lux on I think it was the first chapter that I participated in.
Yep. And then we have Nob as well, who is an OG champion, but we'll hear from Mers first.
Yes, sir. The biggest thing that I've noticed, like, difference from Chapter 3 through 4 and 5 is the easiest difference I can see would be the competition. Because I thought, like, there's more like publicity, there's more players joining. A good chunk of those players tend to be high ranked as well. Like, we see probably more GC3s and SSLs than we've probably ever seen in the Scuffcord, which I personally think is a good thing. I think more competition leads to better quality of games, more harder people to play against, and almost chisel yourself against. I think it's good for the game. I reckon it's quite good, and a lot of high ranks end up actually being quite nice as well, which is also quite rare and good to see. Like someone like Apples and Pac-Man, for example.
Great,
I think there's some really good players that's come through that are also quite nice to hang around. You'll see Apples and VCs quite a lot, and even Cliff's made a post recently. Even though they went 1-3, he was really happy with how they played. And you'd almost rather them have a good time than actually be successful subjectively. So I'd say, personally, for me, that's what I've noticed the most.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to add on that as well. Like, we do get a lot of high-ranked players join. That does intimidate a lot of people, but they also do create avenues for the lower-ranked players to join as well. It creates even matchups having those big players involved. So, especially with 32 teams, it actually helps a lot with balancing having really good players involved in the tournament.
Nobber?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I've been around since season 1, and crew battles have definitely grown since then. And it's you see the community really grow in size, and they keep asking every time for crew battles to come back season after season, and it's good to see that the people in Discord and the community is just passionate to see it come back every time, and it grows, and the group becomes more and more competitive, and the community just sort of centers around it, and it's good to see the growth and people come back every time. Absolutely.
So,
I think just to add to that, sorry, Rush. I just want to make one final comment. I know we sort of talked about it. You know, we sort of touched on positives, negatives. I think to touch on a challenge that's been actually probably really significant in all of this comparatively has just been to try and find a level of competition that people across the board are actually happy with. I think in the past we've always been able to find that spot where it's been competitive enough but also casual enough, and people across the board, whether they're looking for something competitive really or something casual, have really enjoyed it. But I think this time round, and just from the feedback that I've gotten from players and, you know, DMs and voice chats here and there, I think there hasn't quite been the same level of, you know, oh well, we expected that it would be a little bit more fun, but it really wasn't. Or we expected that, you know, we'll put in a lot of time and train, and it hasn't really occurred that way. So I think just a little bit of mis-expectations or a little bit of mismanagement of expectations of players all around. I think that's definitely been a challenge. Also with 32 teams, team balancing, you know, it's a lot harder naturally for that reason, a lot more variables, a lot more new players coming into the scene. So there's a lot of these factors that affect why all of those things end up the way they do. But yeah, I think that's definitely been a noticeable point for me personally anyways as well.
Yeah, I agree. We give people feedback. We try and get as much feedback as we can without bombing people with it. Obviously, end of last chapter, start of this chapter, we asked for feedback in a variety of ways. So if when you do get those things, like the choices we make and the direction we head moving forward does depend heavily on the feedback that we receive. So if you do have something constructive to say, that's definitely your time to say it. Speak from your heart. We're not going to be offended if you say anything controversial, because be honest. If something is upsetting you, if you're not enjoying something so much, or there's any components of what we're doing that you're not sure about, if we're not transparent anyway, or anything like that, then that's your time to speak. Speak truthfully, speak honestly. We won't be offended. We actually really appreciate people that do speak honestly around here, because this is a community-driven thing, and it's all about you guys having the best experience possible. And we're trying to do our best to do it, but we obviously, given the feedback that we have got, especially at the end of last chapter, we head in directions based on the majority of the feedback, and it was very overwhelming in one direction with certain questions that were asked. So we naturally head in that direction, which isn't going to favor everybody. So yeah, please, when you do get those feedbacks, when you do get that opportunity to give feedback, and we're always open to DMs as well. Like if you have something meaningful to say, you can always reach out to myself and Choco especially, who deal with most of that side of things. Reach out to us, and we will take it on board. Honestly, don't feel bad if you have any feedback, negative or positive. Send it through. We're happy to hear it. We're always looking to grow and learn from all that stuff. We're not perfect, 100%.
We are human at the end of the day, and I do like the controlled expectations around that. Well said, everybody. So, moving on. Round 1. Who was our round 1 MVP?
That would have been none other than Gex himself, yeah.
Gex. Shout out to Gex. Coming in clutch for the MVP in round 1.
He was outstanding, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
we hadn't actually seen Gex play before. To be fair, I did download, and I did this for a few players. I should have probably done it for all the players, but didn't really have the time. I did actually download some replays of him from ball chasing and watch them, and I think that what I saw in crew battles was a far greater performance than I saw in any of the replays I watched from him. Which, it was a spectacular effort, and he won the MVP as a result. And credit to him. Outstanding. And that team actually performed really well. They went through 3-0, right? This is a funny thing to touch on as well. I think we discussed this the other day. A couple of us were in call discussing it. There are a lot of teams that people pointed their finger at early in the tournament and said OP, nerf, and not many of the teams that went through 3-0 were in that list, if any, actually. So it's quite interesting. Just an interesting point.
Yeah, the team play. I think I casted a couple of their games. I think I missed Gex's first game, but I think I've casted the following 2 games for the next round games, and some of their team plays were outstanding. Like in the threes particularly, like with Aussie as well, obviously in the mix of threes main. Yeah, some of their team chemistry was just like breathtaking at times. I was like, it's like some of the cleanest passing plays I've seen in a crew battles lobby.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the kind words as well, Ozzy, and for those others in the chat. That's really nice to hear, man. Appreciate that.
Love to see it. I just remember Gex's performance just while we're on that. I think all I remember I think when I walked away from watching that series, because I actually watched it live as it happened, I just thought, man, Gex actually hard carried that round. And to do it, from a mid-seed perspective, and we do talk about seedings, quite often in the crew battle environment, just because we do have players of such varying skill sets and ranks. It's definitely, we do have this expectation for, I guess, high-level players to just pop off and, be there, and that comes with a weight of its own on their shoulders. But I think oftentimes we don't really expect someone that's somewhere in that middle or low rank to have such an enormous impact on a game and the result of a game. And that's actually been really pleasing to see this chapter. I feel like we've had so many crucial matches decided purely because, someone who's a low champ or a high diamond has just stepped up and just played such a huge impact role on the outcome of a result. And I think Gex's performance in round 1 really just amplified that same sentiment of just stepping up and just taking the win for your team, because why not?
100%. Well said.
All right, I think round 2's next, right? Who was the round 2 MVP?
So weird having Rosh above Rosh. I just saw you nod on the video replay at the same time as you nodded on the streamers. Sorry.
I was going to get clips and stuff, but Twitch doesn't have like an autoplay feature. It'll just play through all the clips for the channels. There's a lot of different clips for Scuffcord. I think that for the next one, I'll just download all the clips and play them as a video. But for the time being, you'll have to just put up with 2 of me. But before we move into round number 2, shall we hear from Mers and Nob? Do you guys have any input around what was said?
As far as input, I don't think I caught Gix's games, but I do know that Gix and Aussie Blue are quite good friends. But they're both they're both hanging around and spend time in the same Discord. So I'd say, as far as just having a good friend to play with, and of course good chemistry from the get-go is super important. Especially if it comes from the low seeds as well. Because you have YOLO brothers who's they've been known to be quite good, and of course quite a good high rank. Plays in like ODL and all that type of stuff. So having like your mid seed and your low seed have the connection, like for example, like Panther and Vasha on my team. They both come in being already good friends, working together, and then play Rocket League together. It can make it quite easy, especially the mental side. And then having chemistry as well is just a good bonus on top of that. So just playing by itself is a good place to start when it comes to a crew battle team.
Yeah, and unfortunately for me, I've been working personal. I was ranked ramped up a bit, so I've missed a lot of the first round games. So I'm not probably up to scratch and the MVPs, unfortunately.
Oh, was this the first crew battles you've ever missed as a player?
Yeah.
Sad.
Oh, yeah. Take a step back.
Zero commitment.
I will be making a triumphant return next season.
For commitment.
He heard us league the other day, so he can't play. Yeah. So it goes.
My big toe, and I will be back next season.
You were massively missed.
If he doesn't come back next season, we'll bully him.
But yeah, life happens. It is a big commitment. Like we tell everybody prior to signing up for it. You would know that more than most.
Yeah, I think a lot of people. I was going to touch on this before. Actually, this is probably back to the first point. But a lot of people join the server and immediately just go, "Ooh, competitive Rocket League server," and then press the button without really getting the full context of what the server's really about. And that's probably a big part on me these days as well. I used to be around a hell of a lot to drive the community side of the Scuffcord thing, but I'm far less available these days to continue to fight that fight. But we do have awesome members of the community and other admins that do such a good job of it as well. People like the Mayonnaise, those unsung heroes, Aussie Blue as well, like you talked about. It's just so good having all those kinds of people around. But yeah, that is probably something we could probably clean up and just make it far more obvious what it actually is, especially given the growth. And the bigger it grows, the bigger that problem's going to be as well, probably, where people just come in and immediately just assume it's a super competitive Rocket League server, and that's it.
6-mans.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've seen some 6-man stuff in the good-natured banter. I threw up in my mouth a little bit when I saw it, but yeah, that's there these days.
Just swallow that back down. Round number 2, Blast, was a round 2 MVP. 17 votes. Huge.
I think I casted that game, Rush, from memory, because I do remember seeing the Rush versus Mitch 1v1, and I was absolutely stunned when Blast dominated that game. And when I say dominated, it wasn't even close. Just from everything, mechanics, pressure, just efficiency of boost, that was just another big one. And given how mechanical Blast plays, and just seeing the confidence that he wasn't afraid to go for shots that he knew he could nail, but also just his defense was rock solid. Mitch is quite intimidating with his slow plays and his flicks, for those that have played against him a lot, which I have over my time in Scuffcord. And yeah, I just didn't see that coming at all. And he also had a lot of game impact in the threes. Like, you know, we talked about the high level plays performing, and I think round one, Blast was actually quite absent from the server. His round one performance was quite disappointing, even by his own standards, I'd say. So I think just seeing him appear in the threes game, and I think most of the goals were scored by him for his team, and just a lot of game impact and a lot of you know, presence all across the field in the threes. Yeah, I just thought that was such a deserved nomination.
Last year's
and then the win as well. Yeah,
Last is underrated for real, says Jake. Well, that's such a good statement, because he is, so many people do underrate him, and he does so much damage when he's on.
For sure. Just to continue talking about that as well. Just the fact that, you know, Blast and Mitch have both been some long-standing members, and Blast has for the longest time been, you know, slightly below Mitch on his way up. And for him to get a win on like a game mode, and for it to be quite pivotal to their overall series win, is very strong. You know, that is a very cool thing to see, and it's nice to see some progression from certain players. Like seeing people actively get better over time. It's very encouraging. It's very infectious. It's very good to see this. That's why I voted for them, pretty much. They got my vote.
It was crucial for both teams, wasn't it? That particular game.
Because you could easily read off the Hockey Mitch as the favourite on this one. Well, Blast took it too. Blast got it.
Yeah, Blast he's been studying. He actually played Mitch in the first round of Full Tilt #2 and studied Mitch's gameplay a lot for that contest. Took it to the full measure, I think, in that particular contest.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was very, very close for sure.
Yeah, but he's obviously, you know, he's continued to grow, and he's got the result he was after. I didn't actually catch that series that Blast won the MVP for. That round 2 series, but I did speak to Drunk afterwards, who's his teammate, in private games with Drunk, and Drunk just couldn't sing his praises high enough. Like, he said that even the off-screen stuff that Blast was doing, just the way he's like, his spirit carried the team and his positivity and all that sort of stuff, he was just an absolute, he was not losing that day. It didn't matter who you threw against him, Blast was not there to lose that day. And yeah, Drunk said it was an absolute pleasure playing with him. So not only did he get a solid result and play like an actual Chad for the hour required, he was real positive Scuff-based personality as well, which is great to hear.
100%.
I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love hearing that kind of feedback. Like when teammates reach out to us going, "Oh my goodness, my teammate is so cool," or "My teammate just is the best." Like, that's the kind of stuff that we're going, you know what? We're really glad to hear that. It actually makes our day to hear stuff like that. So definitely keep that positive feedback coming, especially for people within your own teams and, you know, within the server that have done things or gone out of their way, or just, you know, been really positive. Like, I think we really do appreciate it when people just bring that positive vibes to the server.
It also makes you more likely to get picked. Like our events are very much registrational based, and you know, when we turn around and we say, "Oh, we've had to cull X, Y, and Z for like X, Y, and Z that we might have culled might be an SSL player." It is a big part of our selection criteria is, do people get on with this person? Is this person a good person? Like, is he good for the community? Because like we said, at the end of the day, this isn't 6 months. This isn't RLCS. We do this for competition and for community being the bigger one. And that will earn you way more points in here than being an SSL.
Yep, that's a very good shout. Yeah, very good shout. I think a bit of history for those that don't know it. The server was initially started, obviously, by myself. I think the second member was Daniil, and we were just gamers back in the day. We used to play in another guy called Cortex's tournaments, which were reasonably similar. They were just like a Friday night thing. He ended up finishing up and whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But the server the idea was for people like us to play in these kind of events. You know, we're very, you know, most of the time very chilled Rocket League players. We're just here to have fun. We're both dads. We're both in our 30s. We both have full-time jobs. We both just want to play the game for fun, and that's what it was all for, because it was difficult to find an avenue to have fun with the game that wasn't toxic, you know, that didn't have its challenges in online spaces and in, you know, private spaces. So we ended up creating this thing, and for the longest time, it was just a handful of people just getting together on a Saturday night, playing some fun tournaments on a stream with no viewers, you know, basically sort of thing. And it was probably at its most fun then, to be honest. And we've tried to keep those values alive, but it is really hard to do so. But we've got to draw a balance somewhere, I suppose. But yeah, just a little bit of history for those that weren't around for it. Nobbo was, you were one of the initial members as well, Nobbo, from memory. I remember when Nobbo joined, Nobbo was like this big GC. Everyone was so scared of him. It was so funny because nobody else was anywhere near GC at the time. You were just clapping everybody, but still the most humble person. It was such a fun experience.
Those were the days, back when Nob was the best player in the tournament.
Not just GC in what? GC in ones.
GC in ones, yeah. Nothing else.
Scary.
You're saying
in 2s and 3s.
You're saying that like you're still not the best player in the tournament, no?
You beat me earlier today, so I'm not going to say anything.
We won't talk about the 30 losses, but yeah, pretty. So
it's over. Yeah. Jargon, you know.
I'm really glad that you said that, Riz. That's something that I can definitely attest to. So I came in as a competitor in Crew Battle's last chapter, and one of the distinguishing moments for me coming into this Discord and participating as a competitor was I wasn't aware of the spirit of Scuffcord, the culture. I didn't understand. And I think that if you really think about what Riz said around why it was even made in the first place, it'll give you some context as to why it's run the way that it is.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Rush. Appreciate that. It's
it's not to play the game.
Yeah, that's right. And it's definitely like I don't blame a lot of people come in and they compete to their higher standard, and they bring probably what they're used to bringing from their Rocket League experiences into the server, and I don't blame them. I really don't, because it's hard to keep on top of it, especially with so many numbers here now. Like I said before, on the surface, it just looks like a competitive Rocket League server, and it's really hard to keep driving those values in a way without actually being one-on-one with someone and to try and drive those values. So we try and take every opportunity we can. We try and give a lot of leniency to people that have obviously come in with the wrong idea and that sort of thing, and steer them in the right direction. Obviously, some people, you get a gauge pretty instantly that they're probably not going to be able to be steered in the right direction. But people get multiple chances. Like, I like to think that we give people multiple chances anyway. There's only probably a small handful of people that have actually been yeeted from the server in a permanent way. If you look through the ban list in the server, I could almost guarantee you it's probably less than 10 or 15 people, which is not too bad for a server of this size that's been existent for nearly 3 years. So we don't just yeet people out of the server. We like to give people chances. If people are struggling to get their head around it, we like to reach out to them, try and enforce the values or try and explain the values, and we try and bring people on board and try and teach them what we're all about, but it doesn't always go that way. We've obviously had a few issues recently with people not being happy about band members and whatnot, but these people have had multiple chances, and and things haven't gone their way, and they continue to make it hard for us and whatever, and it's just making it hard for us. Continuing to make that hard for us is not any way to get that person back. I'll say that straight away. That's not going to work. So keep that in mind. Is
the key in that statement. It's actually a group decision. It's not just Riz being and making decisions. It's group oriented. And there's discussions around it as well in a team format. So it's not all on Riz's shoulders. Not anymore, at least.
No, some people are obvious right from the get-go, and then some people we actually discuss like this person's had X amount of chances, like they've played in our events, maybe they've been fine in certain instances, but they've pushed the buttons, and sometimes people just push the button one too many times, and we're like, have we had enough? Yep. As a team, are we okay that we've had enough? Yep. All right. There we go. Decision made.
Yeah, it's really hard too, because most people are connected to other people, so you're always going to get this bit of a conundrum where it creates this downstream mess where people are upset, and the nature of Discord, you've got all this misinformation, and you go and speak to X person and they'll tell you their side of the story, whichever version they decide to give you on whichever day, and you're only really taking one side of it. But if there's anything that you if there's anything you'd like to have cleared up, and you would like to go, look, I've never been really sure why this happened, whatever it is, whatever happened, reach out, and we can we can tell you our side of the story, because like I said, there's probably only 15 or less people that are on the ban list in the Discord, a lot of those just joined and were immediate trolls and got banned as a result. So we don't just do it for the hell of it because we think it's fun or whatever. We don't just ban people. We're actually all about the community side of things. We want to really give people a good go at this and try and people that aren't maybe the best natured Rocket League players, try and bring them around and let them see the beauty in the competition and the beauty of this game, which there is a lot in there if you can actually find the right people to connect with. So yeah, keep it in mind. If you do have anything you would like some clarity on, then ask, because I would definitely have a side of the story to tell from my perspective that I would love to share.
Yeah. In terms of Cry Demi, it's a punishment to keep him, so we do.
I like Cry.
Cry.
I stand with Cry.
Yeah,
I stand with Cry.
Cry. Yeah. He's a massive troll, but he's an agreeable one.
He just wants the attention.
I think just to reiterate Rush's point too, like there's a reason that there's 7 people on this stream that are also just part of the admin team within the community. It's not a one-man show. There's a lot that goes into events like this. It really well and truly is a team effort from everyone from organizers to even players. I'd argue they're still part of that team, as well as streamers, all the above. Like there's so much work that everyone and so much commitment that everyone puts in. It really is only as good as every single person is ready to make it. And I think that's what we truly value. We're looking for people that are actually willing to bring in something to the table, be it, a positive spirit, some level of creativity, some, good vibes, like all of these things are what we're looking for. Because when people are, coming to make the server a better place, we ultimately get a server that is genuinely a really fun place to hang out, and be a part of, and not so much just this sweaty, festive, competitive people that are out to get each other. I think a lot of the players that have been around for a while and that have actually been given those chances, I'm sure if you spoke to a lot of them today, a lot of them still choose to compete in our events, and they actually really enjoy the fun side of things, to the point where a lot of them now will go out of their way to try and make themselves available for our events because they understand how much fun it is, right? So I'm not going to take any names, but there's definitely plenty of those kind of players around as well that I'm sure, you guys will know who I'm talking about as well, guys, that are sitting here with me. So yeah, it really is something that we've observed over a long period of time, and it truly does work for the people that choose to take on those values, and it truly does work to make the server better, and that's why we're so insistent on trying to preserve that space and keep it that way as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think as well, like those that have spent lots of time in the server know a lot of people in the server, and someone like Cry, I'll use Cry as an example because he's a really good example. Remnant's here as well. He's also a really good example. Dementa, a bunch of people in the chat. But just to use Cry as an example, like Cry's been here for a very, very long time. Cry might have even been here when Nob joined the server for me, or around about the same time, or a long, long time ago. And as a result, Cry knows a lot of people. And so when we're picking teams and whatnot, Cry is such a utility because we can throw him literally anywhere. And we know exactly what kind of personality he is, who he'll gel with, who he won't. And we can really accommodate for that. So yeah, if you do open up to us and jump in our calls and have a chat to the admins when they're around and whatever, then we'll learn a lot about you and we'll be able to really accommodate for you a lot better. It's really difficult to pick teams and stuff, not only based on rank, which is also very difficult, but also to try and get the personalities right. That's probably in terms of order of importance and difficulty probably as well, you probably got rank as number 1 and then personalities as number 2. We need to get both of those things right. It's never been more obvious in this chapter, honestly, but yeah, we really need to get both of those things right. But it's really hard to do when we don't know the people. So please bear with us. And if you do want to get involved in Scuff and muck around in our voice calls and stuff, we'll come and join you and we'll have some games. That was the intention from the start, but it is different.
Yeah, especially with 32 teams and so many new people. I feel like so many of the admins this time round, if you notice that, they aren't as available or aren't as accessible at the moment, we do apologize. But I think, we've had so many times where we've just spent a significant amount of time just going over things that have happened, or discussing events that have happened, or discussing issues that have arisen from different people, and trying to accommodate for different situations. So it does take time on our ends too. So, we do appreciate the understanding on the player's behalf. But I know sometimes people do go, well, the admins aren't really around, but to Riz's point, we really do try and keep ourselves as accessible as possible, while still trying to make sure that we can have a fun and enjoyable experience for all involved, and deal with things as they come up too.
So, round number 3's MVP, Zycryptic.
So, Rosh, it's just really funny that we spent all this time on just the round 2 MVP. Am I right?
It's fine. It's fine. I love it. I love that you guys are in your elements. So, Zy, I'm a big fan of Zy, if I'm being honest. He's
a popular member.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, he's got the fan base behind him. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I've gone up against him. I've faced the threat of Zy on the field. And I've even cast as many of you have as well. But Breezy, do go on.
Yeah, it's just good to see his he obviously he has his members that he's obviously friends with outside of this server. But he's always jumping into the calls. He's always giving massive vibes into the chats, especially when he's supporting one of the teams. And he also brings people with him. When he is playing, there's a lot of his supporters come out of the cracks, and like I said, it's good to have that different variety. Like it really makes our job really nice when Twitch chat is just interacting, even if it doesn't have to be doesn't have to be like what Zycryptic does, but it's just nice when Twitch chat when you're streaming is just generally interacting and just throwing a few things out there. It doesn't matter if it's general chat or if it's support for the teams that are playing. It makes it so much more enjoyable, makes it so much easier, makes it go a bit faster for us. It doesn't make it feel like a game is necessarily dragging, even though the game like we are managing the gameplay and the crew battle games, and they are exciting. But it is nice to have both during the stream. Both sides of the coin.
Especially when we have those lopsided matchups, which you can't avoid with some matchups where you're going to get an unfair ones and unfair twos. It's always nice to have someone in chat to talk to. Yeah, I know those feels. But Zy's with Zy's community, he does bring a lot of support with him. And they're always so wholesome as well. That's the other big component there. He's such a good character reference, Zy. Whenever he's like, oh, so-and-so's joined the server, he's my mate or whatever, it's like, yeah, this guy's going to be good. 100% of the time. You always know. Keeps good friend circles. This is Zycryptic.
And to touch on that as well, with Zy, Steam, and Quickflow being in a team, that allows quite a lot of flexibility, both Zy and Steam being very solid at the higher GC1, low GC2 rank, and Quickflow being one of the better low ranks. Being very solid and also providing a lot of demo pressure. I think that just opens up a lot of space for someone like Zycryptic to flourish and to use his mechanics and his team playability. So I'm not surprised that he's doing very well on the team that he has. And I'm also not surprised if they have very good vibes as well, as all three of them are pretty mentally grounded and I'd imagine quite fun to play with.
Yeah, right from the start, I think we kept an eye on their team chat while we're waiting for them to pick names and all that sort of stuff. We were all involved in those, and yeah, all those guys hit it off straight away, as we thought they would. Like they're another 3 players that have been around and have sort of let us know a little bit about themselves, just little snippets of their personality, which makes it really easy to team them up. And I think they are having a good time. They're through 3-1. They actually had 4 really tight games. I've got the ladder next to me. 4 really tight games. They actually went through 3-1, but only with a +1 on the game difference. So tight games, but got the job done. Chemistry definitely helps you win some of those tight ones as well. And on Zy as well, in particular for the MVP, he has grown so much as a player over the past few seasons. I think the first season we had him, or chapter I should say, was chapter 2 or 3. And I think he was with Rem and Salts, and I think they got 0 and 3. They left 0 and 3 after that.
It's a dirt squad, dirt team.
But these days,
I don't know if Zy was on that one. I think that was with someone else. I could be wrong though.
Was it? Was it not Rem and Zy? No, I thought Rem was the top seed on that team. Am I wrong about that? I don't know. I could be, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe someone in chat could remind me. There's probably an old bracket there somewhere. I've probably got one just here. But anyway, regardless of that, I do think regardless of that, he has grown a lot as a player over the past few seasons of Rocket League. He's gone like he's a pretty solid GC2 these days. Yeah, actually has moved from mid to carry position, and he's doing it really well.
So could not agree more. Is there anything else that maybe Knob or Breezy would like to add?
He really has. I've played against him before, and he's always been really solid. And obviously, from what I hear, he's absolutely grown, gotten even better, which is quite a statement to say. And it's good to hear that he's getting on so well with his team. I think he tests for Steven Quickflow. It's one of the best teams I've ever played on in crew battles. Just a wholesome bunch of guys. It's good to hear.
He did a great time on that team, didn't he? Dirt League was their team. It was the Cryptic Remnant.
It was. I was just looking at that too.
It was right.
Can we get that fact check, please?
If I could touch on Psycryptic as well, and if Psycryptic and Yellow Brothers could stop farming me in hoops, I'd greatly appreciate it. That'd be nice.
Oh Jesus!
He said still having fun, but not winning very much.
That is all.
Mirror's out.
No.
Mic drop.
Statement made.
Round 4 isn't complete yet. So what? How many?
Ooh.
That's close. It would be close to
two games.
No, one game.
No, one game.
Today,
yeah, I know. Yeah, no. I'm trying to push it to the back of my mind.
Oh, dude.
Just didn't happen. No.
Abort mission. Okay, cool. So round 4 is wrapping up, and round 5 will begin. We'll be looking to the elimination rounds soon enough. Do we have anything that we would like to share around the plans regarding the elimination round?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ideas floating around. I think regardless, it'll be single elimination, just because we've got 16 teams going through this time. Last chapter was pretty cool. I think with the way it worked last chapter was really good, but we only had, I think, 10 teams. So the top 6 seeds from memory, the 3-0 group, the 3-1 group both went through to the top part of the double elim bracket, and the bottom 4 seeds that went through in the 2-2 group or the 3-2 group ended up in the bottom part immediately of that Swiss. And it actually worked out really well, I think. I think that was a fair advantage to have as the top seeds. But this time around with 16 teams, double elim, you might as well just run another Swiss. So we won't be going to double elim. We will be going single elim. It will be seeded. So the top seed on the bracket at the moment, this can't actually change. Extreme Ball Blasters is seed number 1. So seed number 1 will play seed number 16, whoever that is, come the knockout finals. That'll be the advantage that they get going through in such a high seed. It's going to be a tough time for seed 16, of course, but that's just the nature of tournaments in general, I suppose, for those that are familiar with them. And the other thing we were toying around with is possibly moving to best of 5. So the issue that we've had, a couple of issues that we've had with the knockout finals or the final stages of these things, is that the teams that do go through early, like the 3-0 teams, seem to struggle when they arrive in the knockout stage. There's a little bit of a theory that most of us are on board with, is that they haven't played as many games as the other teams that arrive in the final. So the teams that have gone through 3 and 2 have played the extra 2 full series. They're far more conditioned to the format together. I don't think scrimming is a good substitute for the pressure and all the rest that goes on in an actual game. You know, if you're playing an actual crew battle, you're getting your opponents in full sweat mode. You're in full sweat mode. You're being streamed. Everyone's watching. It's a completely different experience to playing anything behind closed doors. So
facts.
Those lower seed teams do almost have an advantage. So pushing it to best of 5 gives those higher seeds a bigger chance to warm up into the contest. I think we'll get a far better idea of who the better team is in a best of 5. The other thing that it does fix is the time of a crew battle. So in the finals, if you are 2-0 down in a final, there is no need to play the final game because of seeding. And we quite often see teams throw it away and walk away. There's no point playing it. Sometimes they do just because they're there for a laugh or whatever, but a lot of the time they just throw it away. If we end up with a 2-0 in a best of 3 or 2-0s in best of 3s, the stream goes for about half an hour. So people rock up for a final, everyone gets involved, streamer makes time and all that for a half an hour contest, which isn't ideal. So the idea is there obviously to try and push it to get close to that hour mark, even if it is the 2-0 sweep. And the penalty will be that if we do end up with 3-5 match series, it's going to go for nearly 2 hours. But given that, if that does happen, that is going to be an exciting series.
Yeah, and to Riz's point too, that's something that was actually raised as an issue in Chapter 3, and that's the reason we had that modified bracket in Chapter 4. I think in Chapter 3, there were 4 3-0 teams, and every single 3-0 team got knocked out on the first round of finals. So it wasn't... Yeah, that's all 4 of them. So, yeah, that was the big thing that we took away from that chapter. And I do think that, you know, with the amount of games that we'll have in finals, like the first round will be 8 matches, because we'll have 16 teams going through, and then 4, and then 2, and then 1. So given that it's significantly fewer matches compared to, you know, 12 and 16 matches per round, which we have been currently pumping out for the first few weeks of crew battles, I think that will definitely be manageable, sort of from both players as well as streamers and admin staff as well. So, yeah, I think it's a healthy balance for achieving all of the ideas that we're trying to work around and implement.
If people do have some concerns or other feedback around it, you think it's going to be too long or whatever, then let us know. I think it sounds pretty good to me. If I was in that position, especially being one of the 3-0 teams, I'd probably want to go down that path. But yeah, if anyone's got any concerns or doesn't think it's a good idea or can think of some other way we can play the finals in a way that obviously we don't have 6,000 games to play, then let us know. Happy to hear it.
Yeah.
In terms of teams being eliminated as well, we probably will see if we can do some other bits with teams that get knocked out and don't have to play finals. So I think there probably has been some chat that if we manage to get some time and we have a streamer available that's willing to do it, that maybe we could do something in the casual scene with prioritizing selection on players that are that have been eliminated from crew battles, just to keep them involved, give them something to do essentially.
I was thinking as well, sorry to cut you off, Brizzy. I was thinking as well, I'm quite excited about this actually. I was thinking what you could do is for the 3-0 teams, if they did want to play a series and warm up heading into the finals, we could bring back previous champion teams, such as the Drunk Cooligans, such as Riz's Frosty Nobbo, previous champion teams, yeah. get them going again, get their engines greased again. Nobbo, let's get out there and smash them, boy, let's do it. We could also make, because there are, we haven't actually used that many subs. Considering we've got 32 teams, we haven't used that many subs. We could also build teams from the subs and get them to field against 3-0 teams. That could be good as well. There's some ideas we've got floating around. If, like Breezy said, the streamers are available and the 3-0 teams are available.
Yeah, for sure. People are going to be scrimming 3 different teams and going, this Frosty guy keeps coming back. What's going on? But yeah, that is some of the ideas. So we're not just leaving you guys to sit on the sidelines, especially with the tournament being bigger, with the finals being bigger. It's going to take longer to create the finals, and we don't want obviously people to just switch off and just be like, I'm not playing in crew battles anymore. I'm basically, this server's done for me until I play again. Like, we want to try and keep you guys engaged, give you guys something to have a go at in the meantime. So we will try and prioritize obviously people who are not playing in crew battles for other things. It's not a punishment for people who are still in crew battles. It's just and we will, if numbers are lacking, we will draw from other sources to get an event off the ground. But that is just our thoughts on the priorities and trying to keep everybody involved in something.
Yeah, we got some people in chat asking maybe for a break between the finals, just for the finals teams. I'm not sure if that's just an availability thing for those particular people or not, but
it's PAX weekend, I think, as well at the end of round 5. So we've also had that race.
We're all half of us are there, so like I'm not even going to be there for that weekend, like for those 4 or 5 days.
That's just one weekend, though, right? We can easily work around one weekend.
It's conveniently around the weekend where we finish up group stages. So we'll finish up round 5 by next week, and it's the week after where it's going to be going into finals and also having PAX simultaneously. So maybe we'll just extend that. You know, there's going to be a lot of people that aren't at PAX, so maybe we can just extend that first round of finals, push it out to 10, maybe 12 days instead of just cutting it off at 7 as we've been doing for the other rounds this chapter. So maybe that's something that we could do to accommodate for a lot of people being away.
There'll be computers at PAX though, right? How's that an excuse to not play?
sorry. Can I borrow this for a second? I need to play crew battle.
We just sweat all over this for a little while.
Yeah, stuff the RL tourneys. We'll just take over and say we'll just take over for crew battles.
I thought about this actually. It's a random point that has nothing to do with it, but people were like, "Oh, did you do 1v1 tournaments at PAX?" And I was like, "Oh, imagine joining one of those though. 29 years old and some 13-year-old kids there with his dad. It's a no-win scenario for me."
That's good.
It's actually no way of winning that encounter.
I can just imagine Breezy winning and then turning to the kid and slandering the crap out of him.
Get shit on, nerd.
Shut up.
What's the sound?
Yeah, it's a no-win. It's a literally no-win scenario.
Breezy will make direct.
You're gonna sign up for the 1v1 tournament at PAX.
You should IRL teabag in front of his phone.
Breezy will like direct eye contact with the dad and just say, "You're pathetic."
You call yourself a father.
You call yourself a father. Well, Eldad, bro.
Turns to his kid. You're no son of mine.
Then he has the controls instead.
So Turtle, it was you that made me think that when you said that you beat someone at a tournament in front of his dad, and I was like, "Oh, fuck that noise." His dad would probably wait for me outside and kill me.
I'll take all these guys and get ready.
Yeah. Anyway, back on track.
So,
Oh dear.
in closing, so we've talked about each of the MVPs, given out our thoughts on the different MVPs which were voted by the community for the community. Don't forget about the Scuffcord YouTube if you want to review VODs. Twitch has an interesting system going on at the moment about that. We've talked about the differences between previous chapters. It was good to get everyone's input and the full spectrum around that. The positives and negatives that come with the larger community, the different people that will come and go as well. The thoughts around the elimination round, which will be locked in hopefully prior to the the elimination events, and that'll be communicated. We did have some awesome.
I'm pretty sure we'll do it. We said best of 5s. I think single elim.
Yeah, I think that's locked in for sure. I think, yeah. But I mean, unless someone's got an overwhelmingly obvious practical solution, I think that's a 99.9% lock in.
It makes sense.
You will be notified. You'll be notified regardless. It's like it's locked in for sure. It's 90% locked in. Yeah, okay.
It's locked in most of the time. Sometimes
we'll get all of that sorted. I really appreciate the panel today. Mers, Knob, Choco, Rizza, Breezy. Thank you for your time and coming through. No.
Thank you, Rush.
Lending us all of his bandwidth.
Yeah, big ups to Rush for actually
not sponsored by
streaming
Statement
it
Milk.
and setting it up.
Definitely not.
No, not sponsored. We will unsponsor ourselves.
I really
Sponsor
appreciate
me.
that we got to talk about the culture as well, and where the Scuff culture comes from. I think there's definitely more to talk on that point at a later date. However, But this campfire, well, sorry, this Scuffcast is over. Thank you all for coming. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.